here we go. Very, very welcome to this webinar on the next wave of productivity with Microsoft 365 Copilot. My name is Ulrika Hedlund. I'm the founder and CEO of Storyals. We train digital leaders one story at a time, and our mission is to inspire, motivate, and educate users to adopt new digital ways of working. And we are so excited to have you joining us here today. Or for those of you who are watching this on demand, thank you so much for watching. I have team members with me today from Storyals that will be helping behind the scenes, in the chats, and answering any questions that you might have. Great to see you here. I also wanted to say that we have a number of other webinars that we've been doing that are available on demand. So go to our website, and our marketing manager, Sanda, makes sure that all of these sessions are available for you on demand. I'll also be sharing a little bit with you afterwards how you can ensure also to make sure that your employees also get engaging webinars to continuously upskill to continuously digitally upskill them. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, it's quite funny. When we planned this webinar a few months back, Microsoft had just released Wave 2 of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And they had announced a lot of interesting things with Copilot Pages and agents. And finally, we had Copilot in Excel that had gone from the private preview to public release. And last week, I don't know if it's called Wave 3, but yet again, during Ignite, Microsoft's big tech conference that was last week, numerous of announcements were made. So even though we had prepared lots of content for this session, we had to kind of, change it last minute. And this is really the story of our lives, also at Storyals, continuously updating our stories, continuously updating our content to keep up to speed with a fast innovation. So in today's session, and I think you saw that in the agenda as well, we're going to do a number of different things. I'm going to share with you some of the announcements that Microsoft have done and some of the changes, and I'm going to show you these hands-on. Again, everything that I'm going to do today is live demos. And you know how it is with live demos. Sometimes they work like they're supposed to, and sometimes they don't. But I guess that's the joy, right, of working with technology. So they're not pre-capped here. We're doing everything live. We're also going to look at some of the announcements that Microsoft made last week and some of the updates there that are so exciting. We're going to give you the opportunity to do hands-on assignments. I'm really happy to share that Storyals, as a Microsoft training provider, are now able to accredit you with Microsoft Learn badges. Now, those of you who are Storyals customers, you know that we have our own Storyals certificates to our courses, but now we can also align these with the Microsoft Learn badges that you can put on your Microsoft or on your LinkedIn profile or in other social media channels. So we will go through with you today also how to get that Learn badge. But as always, when we do these as well, I'm going to take you through a whiteboard and we're going to do demos. But I ask of you also, if there are any questions or anything that you are wondering specifically about, then please do post it in the chat. I do also want to re-emphasize that this session today is for users that have the so-called premium license. It's not called that, but I call it that the Microsoft 365 Copilot license that you purchase on top of your existing Microsoft 365 license. There is a version of Copilot that's included by default to all users who have a Microsoft 365 license. Copilot and Edge, or just the Copilot BizChat. And we did a webinar on this in September, and this is available on demand as well. So I would like to encourage you all, if you don't have the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you can still use generative AI and you can learn how to prompt using this webinar. Okay, let's navigate through here. And the very first thing that I wanted to talk about was one of the things, again, that was launched in September, which was something called Copilot Pages. Now, Copilot Pages is really a new artifact for combining the prompts and the outcomes that you get from Copilot. And it's a very fluid way for you to be able to continue to work with that and to collaborate with others. It is built on the Loop technology, but Microsoft has actually made this available now as a standalone, I would say app almost, because you can access them as an app. And I'm going to show you how this works. One of the things when we were preparing for this webinar that we really liked about these pages is that they're really easy to just quickly, put in your prompt outcomes into a page. But it wasn't so easy to find that page afterwards. You had to go to your Loop component and you had to find it. So it was a little bit confusing how to find this. But now I'm really happy to share that with the updates that were released or launched last week with Copilot Pages, it is now super easy to access your pages and to find them again. So all of the kind of the pros and cons that we listed went away with this update. And I would say just on the cons side now is that it is a bit of a new way of working. It is not a Word document. It is not even Loop. It is yet again another type of technology that end users need to get used to and understand how it fits together in the overall big picture. Microsoft is saying now that Copilot is your UI for generative AI. And I feel this, using this technology every day, I really feel that my first go-to is always going to the Copilot BizChat. And then if I need to develop something further, I use it through Pages. So the reason also why I asked you a little bit how confident you are using Microsoft 365 Copilot is because, like I said, today we're going through a number of things and hands-on assignments where we will also provide you with a Microsoft Learn badge. And so if you don't feel really comfortable in how to do these steps, then we're going to have to go through them also to make sure that you feel confident using Microsoft 365 Copilot all the way. Okay. So now I am in Copilot BizChat. You can see that I have the premium license because I have a toggle here at the top where I can switch between work and web. If you only have the Copilot license that's included as part of Microsoft 365, you will not see this toggle, and also you will not have access to work-related information. And when we say work-related information, these are files stored in your OneDrive, documents shared in SharePoint sites, email attachments, meetings, chats, channel posts, all of that type of information that you have as part of Microsoft 365. A few more things that I wanted to point out here as well. Every time you start a new conversation, you should click New Chat. Really, you should see Copilot as having a conversation, and every time you switch topic, it's important that you click the New Chat. This is to clear out and to kind of start a new conversation. You have the Enterprise Data Protection tab. This is also a badge, extremely important for all employees to know that when they're using Copilot in Edge, when they're using Copilot in Microsoft 365, all of the data is protected. None of the data is used outside to build any models or to teach the model. So everything is just protected and just used for your organization only. If you open up this panel here, you can see your previous chats, so you can always come back to a previous chat. Microsoft recently changed the name of the Copilot Lab. So some of you might be aware that when I click here, View Prompts, you can go to a library of different prompts. This has now been renamed Copilot Prompt Gallery. And what I really, really like as well is that you can now save your own prompts. Yet, we cannot share prompts with each other. So if you want to use that within an organization, we warmly recommend the free Microsoft GitHub app called Prompt Buddy. So that can be used if departments or organizations want to share prompts with each other. But for now, it's extremely useful for yourself to be able to save your own prompts. And we're going to give you this as an assignment here in a little while. But here are some prompts that I typically use. And why don't we use one of them now as a prompt? And of course, we can use this as a template and then we can rewrite it. So here I say, teach me about Copilot Pages using everything you can find in my work content and the web. Of course, I also have the web toggle turned on to ensure that even though I'm using my work source, I'm also including web content. Start with a detailed write-up that explains what it is and why it's important for a business user. Then include 2 analogies that makes it easy to explain to someone who's not so tech savvy. Include a list of follow-up Q&A pairs for me to prepare for potential questions about the topic. So again, this is a prompt that I have saved, and I'll put it into the chat here as well, because this is I mean, you can change it, right? But I think it's a pretty good prompt whenever you want to learn about something. And of course, you can change the word then, Copilot Pages. You can just change that for whatever it is that you want to learn more about. So let's go and let's start this prompt to see what we will get here. Okay, so first we get the detailed write-up. So Copilot Pages is a dynamic, persistent canvas, okay, designed for multiplayer AI collaboration. So I think this is what I said, maybe in not as good words. It allows users to pull responses from the BizChat page and to expand on them, okay? Then we have some other analogies. It's like a digital whiteboard or an interactive notebook. So again, these are really good analogies to use for someone who might not be as tech savvy. And then I have a number of Q&A pairs. So again, preparing me for some of the questions that you might ask me. So all of this is really great content, and I want to use this to prepare for my training session or for a webinar or for a meeting. So where do I keep this? I don't just want to have it in my chat history. So what I can do now, if I scroll down here to the bottom, you can see that I have this Edit in Pages. So I'll click here, Edit in Pages, and automatically I get a page created where I have the outcome of this page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this because then it's very sure that it's based on AI, and I'm going to change the prompt. It takes the prompt as the title of the page. So I'll just do overview of Copilot Pages. And the title then of the page changes. Here I have the detailed write-up, and I'll remove the ending here as well. But say here that I don't want to work on this just myself. I would want to include my colleagues in this as well. So what I can do here then is that I can actually mention Julianne, and I'll just mention Lisbeth here as well. Okay, and I can also easily share this page into any chat that I have. Now, right now, this is only, of course, available for people within our own organization. So I'm going to put this chat here, and you will not be able to see it, anyone who is external. So this is for internal collaboration. But the colleagues within Storyals will be able to access this page. So now we can see that Lisbeth has opened the page, and she can also now start writing on this page. Since I have the page and it's still connected to this conversation, I can continue to add things. So explain to a user where the Copilot page is stored in technical terms. So again, here we're in the work tab, so I can see I'm getting both internal answers from our own company, and I'm also getting external from the web. So here Copilot pages are stored in a new user-owned SharePoint embedded container. So I also want to add that into my page. So again, I click Edit in Page, and you can see that the whole answer from the prompt gets added. So here I don't want to keep the from the company from the web. So I'll just here, and then I will add a heading here. Maybe I'll add a heading 2. And I will put this as Copilot Pages Storage. Okay, now I can see Julianne is also in here editing this page. So as you can see, we start with just the prompt and we start with BizChat. We mix information from our internal work environment and the web, and we now can create a page really, really quickly. So this speeds up the process of any type of documentation and collaboration immensely. One of the difficulties before was, how do I access this page again? So say that I go and I do a new chat, and now I want to ask about something else. I want to write a description. I want to write a document. Where are my pages and how do I get back to them? So what you could, of course, always do is that you can go back to your previous chats, and you can, oh, actually, that was another one. Let's see here. Yeah, so this was one of the things. It's sometimes difficult to find the page itself by finding the appropriate chat. But what I can do now, and this is something that's brand new that was actually announced. It was announced last week, but it became available this week. So it's possible that not all of you have it in your tenant. But if you see here on the left-hand side, I have something called Pages. So here it lists all of the pages that I have created using the BizChat prompting. And here at the top, I can see an overview of the Copilot pages, and I can see that this page is open by Julianne and Lisbeth. So really an easy way to document things, very easy to collaborate and easy to share. So, and these pages become like any other source of information in your environment, just like you had a Word document or a PDF or policy. These pages are the same types of content, knowledge content resources in your organization. And you can apply the same labeling and the same rules that you have for your information management in general. So I'm going to stop the sharing there, and let's see here if we have some questions here in the chats. This is a very good question. So Amit, you asked how many people can update the Copilot page simultaneously. I have no idea. Let's ask and see if Copilot knows the answer. And then a question here from Amelie. Can you add a Copilot page to a Loop workspace? So great question, Amelie. So let's look a little bit at the workspaces. And the answer is yes. Since the pages are built on the same platform or the same technology, it basically is a Loop component that you can add into a different workspace. And Lisbeth, great, you've already answered this question. Okay, in Microsoft Loop, a space can have up to 1,000 members. So probably this is the same for the Copilot pages. We haven't tested it, but I'm sure that Microsoft have stress tested this as well. So as all of you hopefully know, the Copilot chat is available through the browser, through Teams directly as your chat, as an app, and also as a chat buddy, and also if you go to Outlook. So you always have this little Copilot accessible for you. Now, if we go to Microsoft 365, the start page, and we then want to go into Loop, okay? We'll go into Loop. So again, Loop is where we have our Loop workspaces as well as recent components. So here, if I click recent, I have a number of different pages here. And before, we had the problem that it was difficult for us to see the pages. But now, let's see if we see them here. No, actually, they're not showing up here either. So we're not seeing our recent page here. In a little while, it will show up. But that's why it's so good now that you can always go into the first page and you have access to your pages there. So again, if I go to the homepage of Copilot, you can see the pages here on the left-hand side. And this is where I have access to those pages. So I still think there are some things to be fine-tuned because you are supposed to see them also in Loop. But again, being able to access them through the pages is really nice. So I'm actually going to give you now a task. So because we need to give you a little bit of hands-on assignments here, okay? So your assignment is to open up Copilot BizChat and to write a prompt. If you want, you can use a sample of the prompt that I posted in the chat, teach me about X, about Y, explain what problem this solves, and then try to click edit in pages. And then when you have your page, you can continue the conversation. And for instance, like we have here, add some Q&A pairs. So I'm gonna copy this again into the chat if you wanted to have a little boiler template for your prompt. And then the other thing is I want you to save your prompt. That is the task.
It might be great to remind everyone how to save the prompt, not just the prompt response.
Ooh, yeah, I actually didn't show that. Very good. It's good that you're with me here. Okay, so I'm going to share again. So I'll just go to a previous chat that I had here. So here, when I hover over a prompt, you can see that I get this little bookmark icon. So when I click the bookmark icon, I get to save the prompt. Here I can write a title for it, and then it saves the prompt for me. I can't change the prompt here. I can just change the title, and it saves the prompt the way that it is. And then the way to access your saved prompts is to go click View Prompts, and then click Saved. And then here, you can get to your prompts. And if you want to remove one, you can click the bookmark icon again and click Remove. Thank you, Julianne. So again, pages, new artifacts that combine your different prompts and are a really good way for you to start adding more of the research that you have, both from internally and from externally. Right. Exciting news there. Perfect. This, like I said, saving your prompts, editing them in pages, accessing your pages. Like we said, this is brand new, hot off the press. It's not included in any Microsoft Learn course yet. And this is, again, the challenge that we have to continuously make sure that we're keeping you on the edge of the latest and the greatest. But if you're starting with Microsoft 365 Copilot in your organization, there are a number of things that you should have as kind of a basis. And this is why I also asked you before we started, do you feel that you grasp these things? Because this is, again, in order to take your productivity to a much higher level, it's good that you look through these 10 different things and feel confident that you are using these daily in your work and that you master the skills of doing so before you become even more advanced and start with your collaborative prompts, etc. So again, extremely useful for recapping Teams meetings. Again, in order for you to use Copilot in a Teams meeting, you have to be the meeting organizer. So for this meeting, it's only people within Storyals who are able to use their Copilot. So I think this is the first time where people actually fight over who sends the meeting invitation for a meeting, because everyone wants to be able to use Copilot for it. In Outlook, you can today, summarize email threads, draft emails, and also get coaching on how to write for how it to be more clear and for it to be more exact. So I think this is also a really powerful tool where you can all of a sudden write more professional email. Here you see the icon for BizChat for summarizing documents and talking about a specific topic. So this is what we looked at today using the Copilot BizChat. So whenever I need to do something, write, do research, put something together for a training session or for a customer or for a team or for strategy, I always start with a BizChat. It helps you go from kind of that idea in your head to really having a more outlined structure that you can later on edit. And then, of course, you have the functionalities in Word where you can, get help to write and revise. Again, last week, Microsoft announced a number of enhancements here, also to the existing Copilot versions in the Microsoft 365 apps. So let's summarize some of those. We talked about the Copilot prompt gallery. Again, this is the Copilot lab that has been renamed to the Copilot prompt gallery. And again, here you can now save your own prompts so that you can more easily reuse them, which is great. So I really encourage you to work on your prompting. This is one of the first things that we see when users don't get where they feel that they don't get the full value out of Copilot is because they don't know how to prompt. And it really is like having a colleague and not giving that colleague the right instructions or giving that colleague the right context for how to deliver the work. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that understanding how to use Microsoft 365 Copilot and the things that you did now with Pages is actually a little bit of a cherry on the top. So I'm going to put a link in here for you to redeem your badge. And this is also something that you can do later. You need to have a Microsoft Learn profile. But I'll put that link in there, and you will be able to put the Microsoft Learn badge on your profile that you can also share. So let's give each other a round of applause for testing this and doing hands-on exercises here in the session itself. Perfect. Well done. Well done. Okay. Now I wanted to share some of the more, exciting things that Microsoft announced last week. So let's go back to the whiteboard. And I don't want to repeat for those of you who have been listening to Ignite, but I do think it's important to kind of give some of the highlights that was shared. So first of all, Microsoft is making a huge commitment into generative AI and Copilot. There's no question about it. tons of resources are going into this, not only from a technology standpoint of investing in the technology and the development, but also in the partner community and making sure that customers are aware of this transformational change that is happening with Copilot. So first of all, it's much faster now. I think you've noticed it as well. You get the answers. You don't have to wait so long for getting the answers. And the quality of the results that you're getting is so, so much better. I sometimes say to customers when they complain that, I don't really like Copilot in PowerPoint yet. It's not giving me the perfect results. And I tell them that, as bad as it is now, it will only get better, right? So like right now it's pretty good, and this is as bad as it ever will get. So I think it's so exciting how quickly it goes, how quickly the development goes. So enormous improvements in the speed here. We talked about some of the enhancements that's happening overall. So again, in September, Microsoft officially launched Copilot in Excel, and they introduced Python, which is a technology that can be incorporated now into Copilot for much more advanced analytics and visualizations. And this is something that is also being further developed, which is super, super exciting. So if any of you tested the public preview of Copilot in Excel and you weren't happy, then please do it again. Now I always have the Copilot in Excel with me by my side whenever I'm doing anything in Excel. Copilot and Outlook. Soon we're going to get the opportunity to prioritize your inbox. I'm really looking forward to this. So in addition to drafting and coaching and getting a summary of our email threads, we're going to get help from Copilot to prioritize. So we already have the focused filter in Outlook, but now we will be able to also have a prioritized inbox. Copilot in PowerPoint. Here we will be able to write a better outline and also to translate a presentation into any language in just one single prompt. And Copilot in Word will also enable us to use multiple sources that we want to create documents. So a lot of enhancements that we have here. Something that was also announced last week is something called Copilot Actions. And how are you to think about this? Well, the way that we can explain it is basically to say that it's almost like an Outlook rule that you put on, but it spans across all of your Microsoft 365 applications and tasks. So you can see here on the left, very similar to how we have the pages, we will also have something called actions. This hasn't been released to us yet, but this is something that's coming as well. So what you will be able to do is you will be able to put executable actions so that your Copilot does things for you. So for instance, here, gather information. So, or message, send a message, request a newsletter update, post a newsletter update. So it will be really going from just using Copilot to research and find information to also execute and do things for us as well. And more out-of-the-box agents. So again, Microsoft announced agents in September, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about how this works. But now Microsoft has also announced agents across different applications. So for instance, you will have a facilitator agent. So this will be having a Copilot agent in your Teams meetings that takes notes for you. So in addition to, transcribing your meetings, it will also help you to write action items and write those meeting notes. There will also be in Teams an interpreter agent. So if you're talking in a language that's not your native language, you will have in real-time interpreter in your Teams meetings. So a lot of exciting stuff that is coming up here. So let me actually demonstrate this, because when you talk about it, it can sometimes become a little bit overwhelming of all of these things and what are they and how can they be used. So let me go back and show you a little bit about how this can be used. So right now I'm in a document library in our tenant called Training Library. This is where we keep our templates, we keep documents that are important for our training services, we keep PowerPoints, we keep different types of documents. So this is like our official library of really important documents for running our business. Now, whenever someone comes within our organization and they search for things or they use Copilot BizChat, of course, this will be part of the contents that's available to them. But sometimes you want to narrow down and you only want to look at this specific library. And that's what you can do now with these SharePoint agents. So I'm going to start by going up here to the top. So you can see that I have this little Copilot button here. So by default, each library will have a Copilot agent that then only looks at the content in this specific library. So now I can start asking questions about the documents in this library. So for instance, last week, I needed to find all of the PowerPoints where we talked about the Microsoft Learn badges. And yes, I could go through and I could search this library, but instead now I can just ask the SharePoint agent. So I can say, list the PowerPoint presentations where we talk about Microsoft Learn badges. Okay. And again, the language that I use would be natural language. That is something that I would ask someone. So here it lists the presentation and it gives me the link to the PowerPoint. Wonderful. So let's look at another library. Let's go into our marketing library, for instance. Again, I go to a SharePoint site. I click on the SharePoint or the Copilot icon. And again, here we have lots of files. So help me find a report from Gartner where Storyals is mentioned. Okay, so I know that we have this somewhere in our marketing document library, but I don't know where. And here we have a link to that Gartner report. So the agents help you to narrow down the scope. But what becomes really, really powerful is when you start creating these agents yourself. Because what you might want to do is you might want to make these more role specific. So for instance, you might want to make a Copilot agent that's for a specific role that then has access not just to a specific SharePoint library, but to multiple sources within your organization. So let me just quickly show you that as well. And of course, we will, in our training programs that we run for customers, we go through this in more detail. So I just wanted to give you a highlight of this, how this can work. So I'm back in BizChat. And as you know now, I'm using the normal Copilot that has access to everything within my work. But say, for instance, that I am a customer success manager within Storyals, and I want to ask things that are more specific to my role. So what I can do then is that I can go to the customer success agent. Again, this has been created for us, and it then looks at the responsibilities of, for instance here, what is the role of a customer success manager at Storyals? So it looks through our internal documents, and it looks at what the role is of a customer success manager. And again, you can have a conversation, but you can make sure that this agent is fed with only the information that you want it to have. So if you think about it, you can create these agents for different roles, for finance or for sales or for your operations and production. And you can make sure that it has only the content that you want it to have access to when it answers questions for you. So super exciting. And again, these agents are very straightforward. End users can create them themselves. But of course, also if you want to make them more advanced with actions and for them to do things, then you will do them in Copilot Studio. But the whole idea here is that it's easy for end users also to create these agents. So super, super exciting. Okay, I think again, there's so much to talk about, but let's go to our whiteboard to see where we are. So we've talked a little bit. Again, we can spend a lot more time on agents and what they do, but I wanted to give you just a flavor of what's coming, of things that also hot off the press that was announced last week. Now I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the workshops and the Accelerator programs. So I'm really happy to share that Storyals, as a Microsoft Copilot Jumpstart partner, delivers various types of workshops as well as training programs for a number of customers. And when we deliver these programs, it's always a mix of our on-demand story-based learning and also sessions like this, where we get together, we do things hands-on, and we try things. So let me share a little bit about the Kickstart program so that you can see what it's all about. So the program is what we call an accelerator program. Some do them for just 3 months. We do recommend always that you look at this as a longer term engagement. But if you just want to get started with something quickly, we can do a program for you within just 3 months. We always blend our on-demand learning so that you have it accessible right from within Microsoft. And also, as you know, learning these tools, you also have to have an underlying understanding of Microsoft 365. So we include the entire story-based library on Working Smarter with Microsoft 365 into the training as well. And then we provide you with coaching and with weekly tips. So there's the question there, why don't we have this in India? Yes, we do. Let's have a follow-up session. We provide this in various parts of the world in different languages as well. And it's also important to say that some organizations are eligible for getting part of this partly funded by Microsoft. So that's why we wanted to make sure to tell you about this program. Because this is something that is extremely important when you're rolling out this technology in order to get the productivity gains that we're looking at. It's also super important that you teach your end users how to make the most out of this technology as well. So I'm going to share the link also to the Copilot Vision and Value workshop. So if you have any questions on if you're eligible, if this is something that you want to continue on, then you can just fill out this form and one of our sales representatives will follow up with you to see if your organization is eligible. So we have both the Copilot Vision and Value workshop, but we also have these Kickstart programs for organizations that have already started to use Microsoft 365 Copilot. So I can see that we have some questions. So let's get back. So Mats cannot find the Pages app. So probably then this has not been made available in your tenant. There's nothing that you need to do as an end user. For me, it just appeared. I think it was the day before yesterday or yesterday. So just know that it's coming and soon it will be available. There's a question here from Marta. When booking a meeting from Outlook, do I need to do anything specific to enable the recap? Okay, great question. So we talked about using Copilot for meeting recaps, right? So this is linked to Teams meetings. And what you need to do in the Teams meeting is that you need to turn on the transcription of the meeting itself. Now, even if you send the invitation in Outlook, as long as you have that join Teams meeting link, you're absolutely fine. As long as it's a Teams meeting and you are the organizer and you turn on the transcription, then you can use the meeting recap, even after the meeting itself. Great question. Let's see what else we have. So there was another question here from Amit about what about repetition of information in the Copilot pages? Yes, I think you could see that I had prompted multiple times in my when I was demonstrating this. And the thing is there that since a Copilot page is just like a Word file or any type of document, if you repeat the same prompt and if you repeat the same information and you save it as pages, then yes, there will be a duplication. But just like you could delete any Word file, you could also delete any type of Copilot page here as well. So no issues there. Perfect. Well, we are almost out of time. It is wonderful to see you all here, and we really, really love having you attend these webinars, whether you do them in person or if you watch the recording afterwards. So remember again, inspiring and motivating your employees to learn how to use these tools is extremely, extremely important in order for you to get the realized benefit. And Storyals is by your side, so please do reach out to us and see how we can help train your digital leaders of tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time today.